Obviously, Doctor. You've never been a 13-year-old girl.
Just because something looks ugly doesn't mean it's morally wrong.
Oh, wow. Take me away. I'll take a place. I'll sweet escape. Holiday. I'm a homosexual. I'm a homosexual.
Coming-of-age films are something we've all seen, whether it's an 80s iconic film like The Breakfast Club, the chick flicks like Got 13 Going on 30, or a little indie story like 8th Grade. We learn about the hardships of becoming adults in strange and difficult world in a wide range of genres. My name is Julia, and I am joined by Natasha and Shalu. Shalu and Natasha, what do you think makes a great coming-of-age film?
I like sort of like the heroes, like I'm thinking of doing like the hero's journey, the hero's arc, and I feel like it's like basically I feel like especially if it's like a trilogy, the sequel, the second film, the sequel should like sort of show character growth, but also leave room for more in the last of the trilogy. And I feel like with Dune especially, that really ended, and that they really hit that on the mark, because with Paul Atreides, like from before he was born, it was his whole like sort of with the prophecy, it was pre-planned with the Bene like Gesserit, but obviously in the second film that was just released this year, the character really comes into his own and he makes his own decisions and plans. And I feel like like when a character sort of takes their like destiny in their own hands, I think like that's like showing character growth.
That's so true. I would say a lot of coming-of-age films that I've seen do have that aspect of romance, just because I feel like all of us kind of go through it, like early, late high school, early college. You do kind of want to be able to relate to someone and fit in with someone, especially since it's so hyped up, especially in media. So I would say romance. I feel like if you look at Lady Bird specifically, it's not exactly romance, but you kind of see her try to go and get with Kyle and how that affects her personality and how she views herself. And I think you can see that across a bunch of different films. Give me an example, Nat. What would you say?
Clueless?
Definitely, yeah. Weren't you saying something about Clueless
Yeah,
earlier
so
today?
I only found this out recently. It's a obviously modern version of Jane Austen's Emma.
Oh, yeah. Yes, yeah, I totally see that because of the stepbrother.
Yeah, and also like she tries to matchmake all her friends, and then she realizes sort of like they're all perfect. Like
Oh, yeah, totally. That's so interesting. Yeah. What about you, Jules?
I mean, Jane Austen is iconic, and it's definitely women writing women that I think is such a big appeal for her. And looking at coming-of-age films, they're usually centered around women, unless they do go into other genres like fantasy or sci-fi, like Dune. Do you guys have any iconic women that you see in coming-of-age films?
I'll let you go first.
yeah, I really like Jo March
Oh my
in
God,
Little
yes.
Women. I like how like she stands up for what she believes, and she doesn't just follow like what everyone else is doing. Like like getting married, she wants something like before that, something more with her career. Yeah, so like I feel like that's a really good
Yeah.
example too.
There's also like a through line of Greta Gerwig films being coming of age films.
Yes.
Even Barbie. I'm still into
Totally,
Barbie.
yeah. I do feel like that's a coming of age film, even for like the girl that plays the daughter, Ariana Greenblatt. I don't know what her character's name is, but I feel
Sasha.
like yes,
Yes.
yeah, Sasha. I feel like her role especially is coming of age, but in a way, Barbie as well has a coming of age, even though I'm not entirely sure how old she is in the film, but I think
Timeless.
she does.
Barbie is timeless.
Barbie's timeless,
Yeah.
absolutely. I do feel like Barbie goes through a coming of age, sort of delayed, but I think that's also important. You can come of age at any age. If you look at, I feel like the same thing that we were talking about with Greta Gerwig, I feel like Richard Linklater has a lot of coming of age films as well. I love Richard Linklater. I love the film, like he's done Dazed and Confused, but he also did Everybody Wants Them, which is, I know, yeah, so good, but it's also like a delay, it happens in freshman year of university. It's set in the 70s, early 80s, I'd say. But it's just about like a group of, was it baseball? It was a baseball team right before the start of the fall semester, and them just figuring stuff out as freshman students. And I love that coming of age past high school, I think, is so interesting.
Yeah, I agree. And with Barbie too, like I feel like you can resonate no matter like what age you are. It went from like kids to adults. You still feel that connection no matter how old you are, and that's something that Barbie really managed to do, and that which surprised me.
A lot of these films that we're mentioning are quite American. So we talk about Freshmen, we talk about baseball, we talk about Barbie. I'm struggling to think of any Australian films that fit this other than Muriel's Wedding, which is not focused on teenagers.
I haven't seen that. What is
No.
that?
So it is an older movie, unfortunately, if you don't have that interest already. But this woman really wants to get married. She wants a wedding. She's bullied in high school. She grows up. She still is just so fixated on that. And she goes to some extreme lengths to get that wedding. And she kind of learns in the end, spoilers, obviously, in the end that...
Yeah, don't spoil that.
Okay, I won't spoil. But it is a worthwhile watch just for that growth and that character development. Like, you don't grow up when you're a teenager. You keep growing. Sometimes you don't hit that milestone. And I think being uni students, I'm meeting, especially with COVID, more and more teenagers and young adults that just haven't hit those milestones yet. And so I think the coming of age genre is really going to change. Are there any unique that maybe don't fit the genre, but you feel like an argument could be made for it?
I like 10 Things I Hate About You, but
Every time, yes.
Totally.
But looking at it, like going by what you were saying, Julia, like Kat, she does experience and she hits those milestones. But to the other side of that, she wants to protect her sister from actually experiencing things too. And in a way, she sort of like at the end she understands that no, even though she wants to protect her, she needs to let her sister experience those things on her own. So I think that was rare in that way with the film.
I would petition Cars, the animated film, being coming of age. What do you
Absolutely.
think? Yeah. Totally, because it's like him being a childhood celebrity. I don't even know how old Lightning
Like,
McQueen
timeless.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I feel like he comes into his own as a car.
Yeah, as a car,
As a
Absolutely.
car should.
he learns to change his priorities from fame
Really.
to friendship, and that is like.
Have you guys seen Booksmart?
Yes, Booksmart every time.
So good.
Love
I feel
it.
like that's like the perfect coming of age film.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many are focused around. Is it girlhood if they're teenagers? Like, when does girlhood end? Never. But
Yeah.
are focused around women's stories, which I think is why so many women are drawn to them. Like, we've talked about Little Women. 10 Things I Hate About You is Shakespeare. Like,
Yeah.
these are
Shakespeare, the
timeless.
OG coming of age.
Yes.
King.
Absolutely. I mean, so many of these, think about how they've echoed through history. Like, we're still watching Mean Girls. Mean Girls is still out.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So I do want to ask, what coming of age film have you seen, have you not seen, but you want to be made? What story do you want to be told?
Maybe films like that show women, but like older, like in their, not teenagers, but like adults. I think while I love all those films, I think it's important to sort of show that, all those experiences and like, themes that it's still resonant like when you grow up. And I think just more films like that.
I would also say, there's films like this, but films like Call Me By Your Name or Of an Age, I feel like we could do so much more with those kind of subjects and topics.
Yes.
I love Call Me By Your Name.
Yes.
Shout out Luca.
We are absolutely lacking in these queer stories, especially queer stories without trauma. I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of it is centered around coming out, and like, you don't have to do that.
You can just be out and have fun.
Yes.
Especially with this new generation. And then, if both relating to queer stories and older women, we have recently watched Agatha All Along. It has recently come out. Queer women learning about themselves, learning their own stories in very traumatic ways. Definitely not a coming of age film, as it is neither a film
Yeah.
and it's also Marvel. So, I don't think they do a lot of coming of age. It just kind of happens because we want that growth and character development, like Tash said at the beginning.
It's like they listened to the audience, and then decided, yes, I'm going to give
Yeah.
people what they want.
Finally.
I will say Marvel. What what was the one, Marvel Woman or something? No, I'm
Captain
making this
Marvel.
up. Yes,
Yes.
yeah, that one. I think it was like her going through school. I haven't seen it, but I've seen a lot of interviews and
Miss Marvel.
Miss
yes,
Marvel.
That's
yes,
the one.
that exactly. I feel like that's coming of age, like within Marvel and within having like the huge responsibility as a superhero or something.
And that's what growing up feels like. I think that's why so
Yeah.
many young people are drawn to it. You have all this responsibility suddenly, don't know how to do it. We're in uni now. We have all this responsibility. We don't know how to do it.
Literally.
Like, the important things that these films teach are not things that you learn in school.
No.
And TV and film has become such a massive educational resource. Is there anything that stands out from your childhood, like any movies or TV shows that really taught you how to feel or grow, or was that all real life experience?
Charlie?
I would say this is like coming of age, but in like dystopia. I would say the Hunger Games. I feel like everyone grew up with the Hunger Games. Harry Potter, I would say coming of age, but I feel like, especially in today's climate, I feel like the Hunger Games really shaped who we are as students and kind of what we stand for as like Gen Z people of the community. I don't know.
Yes.
That's just me. I'm just an embarrassingly big super fan of the franchise.
Absolutely. Hunger Games is becoming less fiction as
Yeah,
we
literally.
go on.
Which is so
It's
scary.
upsetting, but we know how to handle that.
Yeah, exactly. And I also like Katniss and Peter, like, and all the other kids. I feel like the older you get, the more you understand how hard it was for them to go what they're going through. Like, I mean, it felt like fiction as a kid reading it, but it feels like a lot more heavy now looking back at it.
The older I get, the more protective I am of small children. Like,
Literally.
they should not
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
on YouTube at 7. They should not be at
No.
Sephora. What do you do? Like, they should be out playing or at least watching television, not making it.
Wait, maybe this is too political, but what do you guys think about like the new social media ban until you're 16?
I don't know how they're going to enforce that. Honestly,
Yeah.
kids are smart.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work.
I understand they're trying to address these mental health problems, but there's so many other places kids get mental health problems. Like, I was an anxious kid and I didn't have social media until, 14. So probably not a great example.
And on news, I heard about like, is it all platforms? Like, there are some loopholes in that, and if you're going to cover that, it should be like the majority.
Oh, absolutely. And when I was a kid, so long ago now, there were like platforms for kids. There was Club Penguin and Barbie games. Like, that just doesn't exist anymore.
I also heard that they're like trying to put YouTube under that, which is insane. I feel like YouTube shouldn't be classified as social media at all.
So many kids are on YouTube, and don't get me wrong, some of them should not be watching what they're watching. It's very violent sometimes, but they're also video game run-throughs. Like, it's just what they like. Some kids like, I was a morbid kid. I liked Wednesday Addams. I knew how to poison people. That's not a problem.
Pause, rewind. What was that?
She drinks poison. It's cute. It's quacky.
No, but like you learn so much on YouTube. Like I learned how to play the guitar on YouTube. Like what if?
Wow.
Yeah, like literally, it's that easy. Like you can learn so much on YouTube. I don't
Kids
think it's
struggling
like
with their maths homework.
yeah, all those. Shout out to all those web like channels with like Indian guys that would just like teach you how to solve algebra.
I mean, iconic.
And I love making fan videos. That's how I started with like YouTube of my favorite movies and shows.
Oh my god! Wait, I need to see that.
Yeah,
You
I
should
have my own
send us
account.
the link.
Absolutely.
Send us the link.
That is learning transferable skills. That is video editing. That is audio editing. Why do you think we learnt these skills?
Yeah.
Making our little fan videos.
I got really good at Sony Vegas Pro program.
Oh my god.
Beautiful.
That's old school.
But another show I really love was is Buffy,
Yeah.
because it shows she's still dealing with all those problems and everything, like growing up at high school while still dealing with like the supernatural and like saving the world. And I think combining the two, which they did, was so it drew readers like audiences in.
Yeah. And Buffy dealt with grief. It dealt with PTSD. Like, dealt with these really hard things that adults struggle with.
Yeah.
But for such a young audience, and like Spike,
Yeah.
End of sentence.
Yes.
Spike.
Yes. Spike.
Angel.
Full stop. That's the whole.
That's-
Send tweet.
Yeah.
Spike.
I met James Masters at Comic-Con. He's so lovely. He bleached his hair so much for that role.
He did the whole,
Yeah.
basically
Whole
the
time.
whole show.
And he still got his hair. I think he was expecting to lose it because of the bleach, because you kind of roots as a vampire.
That's crazy.
Like, the sacrifices artists make for their work.
That's gonna be Niall Horan in a few years.
Oh, absolutely. We were talking about charms before we even started recording, so apologies for listeners. But I think we see grief portrayed really well in that as well.
Yeah. Also, like, I like how you grew up with Buffy. Like, she didn't just stop after high school or college. She got older and she dealt with like all these new things, but she's still like, you find it that you can relate because it showed like the personal life of Buffy while also like saving the world, slaying and everything.
And if you have so many other things in your life, so there's a lot of comparisons with being a closeted queer kid, because Buffy gets kicked out of home at the end of season 2.
Yes.
She runs away because she's threatened to be kicked out.
Spoiler.
Sorry, it's been like 20 years.
Is it really a spoiler now?
Yeah. And there's a lot more to learn, but there are so many comparisons being a closeted queer kid. You're keeping this secret. You can't tell your mum. You can't tell your friends. You're dating, but you're not really getting a second date because things go wrong and you don't know how to act. And then...
And going back to that scene where she's kicked out of her house at the end of season 2, I like the line she says, like, you know, to her mum, like, I would rather be up in my room, even studying, you know, talking to my friends. I feel like that it's so relatable. I think it was like ahead of its time for when it came out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I do want to ask you what your favourite coming-of-age film is as our final question.
Damn.
Hard one.
I don't know. I feel like for me, it's either Booksmart or Everybody Wants Them, which I mentioned earlier. Just because they're like purely fun, comfort films that I always go back to. And it's like, yeah, coming of age can be fun. It doesn't have to be traumatic all the time. You can still have fun with the right people or even by yourself, as long as you are open to making connections. And that goes for like university students even, where like if you're open to making connections and if you're open to trying new things, I promise you it's going to go better than you think it's going to go in your head. And I think that's the moral of all these films in the end.
Yeah, I completely agree. For me, my favourite film and favourite coming of age film is Clueless. It's a comfort film for me. Like, I love how it shows the importance of friendship, you know, the importance of like trusting yourself, going with your instincts and everything. And I just think like the character growth of Cher, I just love it. It will always be my favourite film.
Beautiful. Thank you guys so much for coming in on this podcast and doing this on your break in our beautiful summer series. You will see us around, or maybe not. Charlie's graduating. I'm so sorry, Charlie.
Bye, guys.
She is coming of age in every way.
Literally. Oh my
Literally.
God, you guys.
But we will see you. This is What's Up News, our summer series podcast. Signing off. Thank you so much.
Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.
Don't